Hello, YouTube. This is Sean,
I'm Dan.
and we are Dapper Dadz. This is our YouTube channel. This is now the second video that we
Yep.
have put out. We just put our a video live earlier on Facebook, kind of just as a heads up that this video was coming. So definitely, first thing is we want you to check us out.
On Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube. Dapper Dadz with a Z.
Absolutely. So, once again, just kind of getting back to this is our YouTube channel that is really just dedicated to all things dad,
Dads.
I guess. Yeah. And if you guys have not seen yet, if you missed our first video, you can just go to our page. We want you to subscribe and check out that first video. It's our introduction video, kind of just here's who we are and here's what we're about. This is what the channel is. These are the goals that we're trying to do here.
What we encompass.
Yeah. So now just jumping into today's episode or episode video, whatever you want to call it. Just the struggles of dad.
The many, many struggles of dad.
Yeah. And we by no means plan to touch on all of the struggles of being a dad because they are vast and many. Never ending. But just to touch on a few things that I think that we've went through that a lot of other dads probably are going through or have went through. And so just starting off the list. Well, first of all, we have a few things that we want to touch on today and talk about a little bit. And then kind of a few things at the end that we don't want to leave out of this episode. We want to kind of give that nod or that acknowledgement that these are some issues, but there are things that we plan on addressing more specifically in later
episodes and videos.
Yeah, absolutely. So just starting off on a couple of things would be, I think, balancing time. We'll touch on that.
All the difficulties of that are endless.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out, just keeping your daily routine and your timeline. I mean, everyone works. Well, mostly everyone works, and they've got to balance work and school and a child and their significant other and allocating time in the right places.
Yeah, between job, family, or between job and career, family, and then personal time, is something that I think once you become a parent, definitely that time is eaten into a little bit, but it's still very important to make time for that.
You have to maintain yourself to be able to maintain your family.
Right. And so just a couple things real quick. I think we want to just touch on some of our experience so that you get to know us a little bit better and kind of what our struggle or what our kind of lives have looked like as
and
fathers.
Our viewpoints from that.
Yeah. So me personally, I currently work for a merchant processing company that is a traveling sales position. And so for about the last, 10 months or so that I've been with this company, maybe even a little bit longer, it's probably coming at close to a year. I've probably spent a good 9 months or so of that on the road, living out of hotels. And
Never fun.
Well, the thing is it was fun in the beginning. And then just like that, it began to take its toll on me. And it got to the point where it was like so hard to be motivated and to want to get out and do the things that I needed to do because all I could think about was like what I was leaving at home, between family and friends and just all that time. Like I just felt everything was dedicated to that. And I know your situation is a little bit different, but very similar in the sense of like, having spent time away from your family and your kids.
Definitely. Military families and fathers that are military being still with the mother of the child or separated. I mean, in the military, you're going to spend either a couple days, months, maybe even a year away from your family. You're going to miss out on all that time and all those experiences. And trying to get that back and allocating time when you are off duty to get that back is very difficult. And
and you spent some time being deployed, right? In Afghanistan.
And I was deployed for about 11 months, and I had a newborn at the time, and I missed out on all those firsts that you can't get those back.
Right.
And it's definitely hard to bounce back from that.
Yeah. And then I think another thing just to touch on with that before we move on would be the importance of the time that you do have, then with your children, because you spend so much time away. And by no means is this every parents, scenario. A lot of, parents who are working locally and they, they're there, every evening. But even with that, that can be tough to juggle. If you, whatever your job is, if you're working 8, 9, 10, 12 hours a day, that's a big chunk of your life that's gone. So when you do have that time with your children, how are you spending it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that time you work a 12-hour shift. You want to go home and you want to sleep, but sometimes you can't just go to sleep. You have other obligations with your child or other family members that you have to do before you can get that me time or that sleep or whatever, what have you.
Right. But also keeping in mind that it is important to get that sleep so that you are well rested, and taking the time for you and as well as the family. But this is why it's on our list today for a struggle, because it's a difficult task.
Yep.
And then so in addition to that, kind of just how simple things, the idea that like daily chores and errands and things become so much more difficult to actually accomplish when you have a child, or several children, specifically everything from like, grocery shopping, like anything, like doing even just cleaning the house or something, having
going
that
to the
little
bathroom.
shadow.
You know how difficult it is to go to the bathroom with a newborn?
Right.
And you can't just leave them in the other room. You have to take them with you, and then you've got this little mini-me sitting in front of the toilet with you.
Or once they're really at toddler age, when they're like, when they become that little shadow and they follow you everywhere in the house. That's...
It's like Big Brother watching you use the restroom.
It's funny sometimes though, too. Like it can be frustrating, but it's also funny. But yeah, like even something going to the store takes so much longer. Getting all the kids loaded up and then unloading them when you get there, and then the shopping takes 3 times as long.
Keeping track of them in the store when they can walk, and you let them walk free.
Right. And then so another topic that is a struggle and that can be difficult, but I think is also very helpful, is getting into a schedule. Mm-hmm. It's very tough, and I think it's tough especially in the beginning, like for new parents or parents with newborns, infants. It's just so hard because you're on their schedule, but once you can start getting them into a schedule, it does tremendously help. Like in feeding or sleep cycles. And so dads, like, we want to encourage you to really be a part of that, in, suggesting it to your significant other, and just really stepping up.
You'll never be able to stick completely to a schedule with be it a newborn or even a toddler. I mean, it will always alter. There will always be something that comes up that alters that plan a little bit. But
it's going to shift and change. And
if you can stay as close to that as possible, it really does benefit the child, and the family as a whole.
Right. And so even using things like alarms, we would use alarms when my youngest, when my daughter Lily, when she was a newborn, just in like for her feeding cycle, set the alarm every 2 hours. We know she has to eat. Is she going to necessarily want to take that bottle every single 2 hours? No. But the more we can get her to do that, the easier it makes our lives.
And the sooner, I believe, in my personal opinion, the sooner you start to try and implement a plan and a schedule with your child, a routine, the easier it will be down the road for them to maintain a routine when they become cognizant of what a routine is.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's going to help with just, the child's, kind of just when they know what to expect, it's so much easier for them to adjust to that. So the idea too of making it not only easier on yourself, but easier on the child to get into those things. But let's not forget, one of maybe, at least for some people, the bigger struggles would be calming an upset child when things are not going according to plan,
the never-ending battle
or routine. Yep. Absolutely. And just the importance of that and your technique in how to do it. And real quick too, we're not trying to solve a lot of these issues today. We just want to address some of these things, and then and then really kind of get more in depth into them later. So this is, I think we're going to be throwing out, some little tips, little helpful, reminders, things that we have found so far. But as far as really digging into those issues and coming up with more concrete plans for how to, get above them, that'll come later.
Yeah.
But yeah, calming an upset child and kind of just the struggle that comes along with that. And it's not just with dads, but I think that for a lot of new dads, it's tough. You're not used to that.
It's hard to maintain that calmness when you have a child freaking out, and you've tried every option. You've given the bottle, you get the pacifier.
It's 4 a.m. Your child is screaming. You've done everything that you can. Nothing's helping, and you can just feel your stress level just rising through the roof, and your frustration. And
you got to remember to keep calm and just. You will figure this out. You will find a way. You will find out what this child needs or wants. Even if the child doesn't even know what it wants, if it just wants to scream, eventually you will get to a point where you'll know what you need to do. To calm the child.
And I think the biggest thing that helps with that is understanding, or try at least a conceited or concerted effort at trying to be understanding. Because for me, when I would start to get frustrated and it's like all I want to do is sleep, I would just have to bring myself down and say, this is my child's only way to let me know. And all I want to do is sleep right now, but this child has no other option than to cry to let me know that something is wrong, or that they're in need of something. And so a lot of times that would just solely alone just kind of calm me down.
Bring you down.
They need me right now.
It's
not, they're not trying to annoy me or make life hard.
They're not trying to keep you awake. They're just needing something, and they have no other way to purvey that except to scream bloody murder.
Right. And the thing too is that, how you react, they're so quick to pick up on. And I just don't want that to be. I don't want my frustration and those things to show to my child, because they pick up on that energy. So another thing. So in addition to dealing with children and their attitudes, emotions, their neediness, we have another subject to talk on. Dealing with significant others.
That's the topic.
The SO and their hormones, because it's an issue.
We're gonna get a lot of hate mail.
No.
You sure?
We won't. Yeah.
Okay, I hope not.
Because we're coming from a very loving perspective.
We mean well. We're not trying to bash or degrade.
But
anybody.
ladies, you can be a handful sometimes, as I'm sure
we can too.
Yeah, absolutely. But gentlemen, if we can give you a piece of advice here, your life will go so much smoother. Once again, going back to, if you can try to be understanding. They're feeling things that they don't know what they're feeling. They may be angry and not know why they're angry with you. And that alone is so thoroughly frustrating. But once again, when I'm able to kind of take a step back from the situation
and view it from those other shoes,
and view it and try to be understanding in the fact that it's the hormones that are making them think or feel this way, and it's probably just as confusing for them as us sometimes. And just taking a step back from that, maybe biting the tongue, swallowing the pride, and letting some things slide that may not be easy. But
sometimes you just got to bite the bullet, let it go.
But knowing that ultimately that's going to make just such a smoother life for everybody. And oftentimes, they'll come to you later, gentlemen, and apologize for being the crazy mess that they were. But we love you, ladies.
Obviously, we couldn't have our children without you. So,
we couldn't do it without. So, but gentlemen, it's tough, but once again, patience and understanding of kind of where they're coming from too will go a long way. And let's see, another thing, kind of just like a brief thing, but daycare and babysitting cost of that.
It's outrageous nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. And for a family that like has like when you have to have like two people working, it's a must. How else do you do it? Now some people are lucky enough to have friends and family that they really trust.
Maybe do it for free or for, a couple dollars or even 10, 15 bucks a day.
Right.
Most of the time you're looking at 30, 40, maybe even $60 a day for a child. Yeah. That's 9 to 5.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing I kind of just thought the trust factor is big.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with the idea of my children being at a daycare or not only with someone I don't know, but it's not me. It's not, these children are spending a good now portion of time with someone else as my phone goes off. And yeah, let's turn that off. That should have been done, guys. But yeah, it's just kind of like, it's a weird thing. But necessary for a lot of people out there.
I mean, unless you can afford to have only one person, one adult in the family working, be it the mother, be it the father, you're gonna have to find a way to allocate that income towards daycare if you don't have a direct family member or a friend that'll do it for free.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's a big hit in the bank account, but again, sometimes it has to be done.
Right. And I think that another thing that we can do is kind of touch on this once again in a future episode, but maybe get somebody in. We've talked about getting psychologists, lawyers, getting some people in that have tips on some of these issues as far as how to deal with them, coping, programs and things that are out there to and whatnot. So, go ahead. Okay, I just didn't know if you needed something that you wanted to touch on.
No.
Last few things. We're just going to talk about just briefly and acknowledge the fact that these are probably 4 of the larger issues that I think a lot of men deal with as far as like some of the tougher things. And that would be going through the court systems as far as like custody stuff, child support, split families, and child discipline. But those are some topics that we already have episodes allocated for in the future. Yeah. But yeah, those are definitely, and I think very specifically for us in our situations, those are things that have been huge hurdles for us, and things that we're still going through and working on, and some of the things that I think. Those are going to be the big outreaches. That's when when people start seeing that stuff, it's going to be like, man, I've struggled with this. This is kind of my story, and that's what we want. So yeah, that's kind of the gist for today's video. Yep. But
if you guys have any questions, opinions on what we've discussed so far, feel free to comment below. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, share.
Always taking ideas for topics. But yeah, we have next couple videos. We talked a little bit earlier. We're going to do this product review. Yeah. Little sneak peek of that.
I can't tell if it's in screen or not.
Yeah, we'll find out. But we'll do the product review, and then we're going to do, I think tomorrow's episode is going to be the joys of parenthood and kind of breaking that down.
I can't wait for that one. I'm excited.
And what makes all of this, worth it. So stay tuned for that. And I don't know, as always, I guess, we love you guys. We appreciate you. We love the support that we've gotten already. And just bear with us through this journey and this process.
And keep checking our Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter.
New stuff every day.
Every day.
We're putting out, as much as we
vlog
can.
Or a full-on episode.
Snapchat's just daily snippets of, kind of what the process is looking like, right now. But cool. Love you, YouTube. Stay dapper.